Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Juan Carlos Brando, and I'm so happy to be here with you all, having this show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has been working in this field for over 46 years. And well, today is one show that we're going to be answering your questions, your immigration questions, and issues will be answered today by the impressive, unbelievable, incredible attorney Margaret W. Wong, who is the leader in the office of Margaret W. Wong and Associates. Let's welcome the attorney. Hello, Ms. Wong. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Carlos. Yeah.
Ms. Wong. So today we are almost at the end of January 2024. And I have a question that just came from a person that I was speaking with a couple minutes ago. And this person says that she came last year to the United States. She's filing for asylum, but she was working for someone at some place. And now this person is asking her for her ITIN or her address. And since she doesn't have a social security number or she doesn't have a work permit, she's scared of giving the other person her information because she thinks that it's going to be a problem that she doesn't have a work permit. So, what is your point of view about this? Will the government be mad at this person because she's working without a work permit, even though she's waiting for the asylum and waiting for the time to get a work permit?
Yes, that's a very, very, very important and timely question. My take is, as an immigrant lawyer for years and years and years, the law it's not like criminal law. I sell more of drugs, I go more to jail. I rape more women, I got life in jail. So immigration is weird. You already are inadmissible and deportable and removable and excludable alien, right? A non-citizen, as they call them today. So, but in the law books, it's still the word alien. Once we came to America undocumented, unless you're paroled in under CP1, we're already illegal. Undocumented. That means what is illegal undocumented is that piece of paper. The green card is actually very small. Next time I'll show you. And the work permit is very small. So illegal work, that means I come and work and I get paid in check or cash. And as long as I didn't lie about who I am, I could always change my name, but I never lied about, give you a wrong social or tax ID. I work illegally. It doesn't make you more or less undocumented. I'm already undocumented now. That's why on the non-citizen, on the alien side, illegal work, illegal stay, as long as you don't lie, you do not violate tax law, criminal law, bankruptcy law, securities law, you only violate immigration law, you're okay. Now, on the employment side, there's a problem because President Reagan started after amnesty. President Reagan in 1984 started with anytime you hire an undocumented alien, in exchange for amnesty, President Reagan are penalizing employer for illegal hire, except those who are grandfathered under the old law. So if you are the employer, you have violated illegal hire, and you have to pay the maximum fine is $2,000. That's what the I-9, like a lot of times, ICE under Trump would come to restaurants or motels and do a job raid, or in the 80s and 90s, ICE would just come in and rounded everybody in the factory, and the meat factory and the turkey factory. People were rounded like 1,000 people and get all those people deported. That was under in the 80s under Reagan, under the first Bush, but depends on who the president. Now, Biden stopped doing job raid because, let's face it, American people, with their COVID and stuff, America is losing people because women are not having that many children. So America, you need someone to work work in a farm, work as a babysitter, work as in a restaurant, cleaning dishes. someone like me when I was young. I worked in hotels, and I cooked. You name it, I did it. Right, clean toilets. I mean, clean a painting, make sure it's clean. Do those big boxes. So if the employee is asking this question, as long as you don't lie, you are not illegally working. If the employer is asking that question, that's why if an employer call me and say, can you tell my people what to do, I always say that's a conflict. I cannot represent you and tell you could hire them, because you're not supposed to hire them. But what I can do is talk to the aliens, see what I could do for them to get them legal work permit. So your friend is right. She's waiting. She's waiting for the asylum, the 151 days, the receipt, the fingerprint, and then 151 days. And then after that, she can file. If you join ASAP, it's a little bit faster, but most people don't. So after 151 days, you can file the work permit. It takes 4 to 9 months. Biden is trying to make it 2.5 months. So, and lawsuits are coming in. So that's what she's waiting. You may want, if I were her, I would be honest with the employer and say, I really need this job. Everybody in America is very nice. I really need this job. Do you mind if you want to fire me? Wait till I get my papers and you hire me back. Or I can work here illegally. I can volunteer. I don't have to get paid. Technically, it's also not too kosher if that you are the non-citizen. If you're the employer, you absolutely cannot hire. I shouldn't say that because I always feel sorry for people. So you can either hire, you should not do that, but if you hire them as a consultant, you don't need to file the I-9. I-9 is a piece of paper all employers, even if you hire one person, you have to fill out. It's an employer verification on the, that's half and half. Part of it is the aliens information or non-citizen information. If you're a citizen, you do A. If you are non-citizen, you do B and C. B and C is what's your ID. So if you have a driver's license, you have a real social, it works. That's why a lot of people, they just get a phony social, phony name. B and C is so that the employer is still good. Sometimes the employer will get what we call a no match letter from Social Security, because sometimes the employee may give them a tax ID number or phony social. The employer would get what we call a no match. No match means that Social Security send a letter to the employer and say, hey, you're hiring this person. We couldn't find his social or her social. Now, and I shouldn't say that. I'm giving you all the secrets of the trade. But that no match letter, legally, you don't necessarily have to respond. So you're not violating the law if you don't respond. But of course, as an employer, I'll be scared too. But mostly, if you're unknowing hire, you don't know he or she is illegal, you're just helping them, that's really the maximum fine is $2,000. So the answer then becomes, is a cost of doing business. If I'm that desperate, I really like this person, I'm risking $2,000 a civil penalty. But if it's a knowing hire and could be criminal, then we have a problem. Right now, under this administration, mostly they don't do criminal unless it's like a knowing hire, mass hire, doing fake social security number, fake fingerprints, fake everything. Then it's criminal. Normally, it's really if you just want to help someone, Personally, I believe in that. A lot of my own partner may disagree with me on my advice. It's just what I think, because mostly I love to work with my non-immigrants, my people who needs help. So I hope I answered your question, but directly to answer your friend's question, be honest with your friend, your employer, because why do you want to work with someone who doesn't want you anyway? That's because you and I are valuable. Our labor is valuable. We should be paid for what we are worth. That's why the minimum wage of $15. But I would be honest with the boss and say, if you don't mind, I don't mind doing my job, but you don't have to pay me because I just don't want to lose my job. If you don't mind paying me, you can do me as a consultant, but I don't have a number because as a consultant, you don't need an I-9. They know that. That's a 1099, so you have to be responsible for your own tax. Or if he wants to, he can keep a job open and you'll get it. You should get your work permit in less than 1 year if you're diligent on the filing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. And yeah, I mean, people have questions and we need to answer the questions that people have. But of course, if you need more advice, if you need to talk to an attorney, just give us a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, attorney Margaret W. Wong. And we are live right now, so you can ask your question with the attorney Margaret W. Wong. Let's go ahead and ask the next question. And this person says, "Hello, good afternoon, Madame Wong. Um, how much do I need to report to file I-130 for my wife and one kid that are in Brazil?"
Okay, you don't need to report any income. For the wife, you need only I-130 and Part A. For the child, you need only I-130. I would do 2 checks for 2 I-130s, do a big paper clip so they adjudicate the wife and the child together, and put the check on top, the I-130, and then A, and the birth certificate of the wife, your passport or birth certificate, hopefully your birth certificate, if you're born in America. If she was divorced or you're divorced, attach the divorce papers, and that's all you need for I-130 for the wife. For the kid, do another I-130. So put her check on top of her I-130, put the kid's check on top of the I-130, and put the kid's birth certificate. That's all you need because it's a kid. Father's name, mother's name, make sure your name is properly there, her name is properly there. Put the big clip and put it in one big envelope and file it. You can also do an e-file, but you do not need to tell them how much you make. In 6 months to 1.5 years, the I-130 should be approved. It'll go to a national visa center because they're stuck in Brazil. Now NVC will give you a whole package. There will be an NVC number. Brazil, what's the capital of Brazil? It's whatever. So
Brasilia.
Oh, Brasilia. Okay, so that should be a B something something, a 3-letter word with a number from now on. When you deal with NVC, and thanks for telling me the capital because that's normally the American embassy is right there. So but then there's another number called the NVC case number. So the case number, the invoice number, you have to pay the $120. Depends on how old the kid is. The wife is 120.
Yeah, the American embassy in Brazil is in Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo. Okay, those would be
a consulate in Rio de Janeiro.
Okay, so it could be R. Sorry. Okay, no problem. So because each country only have one, like in China is Guangzhou, in Canada is it's Montreal, but in India they all do it now. So India, I always have to guess, is a Mumbai, which is Bombay, stuff like that. So and thank you. Sorry about Brazil, but so, and you don't really need a lawyer for that, and that's another reason why I don't know the number. Normally, the number tells you where's the American embassy, and then you pay the NVC fee for the child. If it's under like 14 or 16, you pay only $22.90. Don't overpay because then they'll kick out the whole check, cancel your case. It's really stupid. And then you do the DS-260. That's when you want to tell them your 1-year tax return. So if you don't make enough, you only need to make enough for that 1 year. Now, most consulates, the high fraud ones like Philippines, Korea, China, sometimes Mexico, sometimes not, because unbeknownst to most people, the Central Americans and the Mexicans, we don't lie too much on our tax return. It's more the Asian people, so we don't like to report. So some American embassies, they don't believe you, they want 3 years, but I think Brazil, you need 1 year. So 1 year tax return. So if they have to go to interview like in 2024 or 25, you need to start reporting at least, I presume you have one wife and one child. So you have to add 500 each to 25,000. You have to pay, you have to not pay, you have to report at least 35,000 in annual income. And then you'll be okay. But you don't tell them your annual income at the time of I-130 filing. You only need the income at the time of DS-260 and the IV bill.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. Don't forget, the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Next question is, hi, Mrs. Wong. I have an asylum pending. My IH will be on March this year. I have TPS. I am from Haiti. However, an attorney told me that I need to terminate this asylum in the court and file a new one at the USCIS. Is this correct? Thank you.
He may want to buy you more time because you're from Haiti. But the general rule is if you have IH of TPS, most lawyers do recommend you to terminate the asylum case, protect TPS, because you don't want to get a final order removal. In Haiti, sometimes it's difficult to win asylum because it's not a it's not like a country like China. It's easier to win asylum because it is communist. Haiti is very corrupt, very violent, but it's not as bad. But if you were a former, and I represent some of them, a law enforcement people, or because Haitians, you have some awesome Haitians that escaped to America lately in the past few years. So I don't necessarily. So it depends. It could be an NTA of no date and time, and your story is not that good. So they're talking about maybe terminate the asylum. You don't once the case is terminated, you don't have to refile, which is nice because termination and dismissal is another Biden thing to help us just to not go to court anymore. So, but if you want to continue that work permit, I always recommend a status or admin close, but because you only have TPS, they won't status you. Maybe that's why they want to terminate. But in general, if you feel you're going to win the case, you want to go in there and fight it. And Haiti is not a bad country. Actually, to even win asylum, it's just a very corrupt. Another thing I always advise my clients is not so much sometimes what us as a lawyers tell you, because some of us we're very conservative, some of us like to take risk. We also have different principles and philosophies of how to practice. Because some lawyers want to keep you here, but some lawyers just want to terminate court case because it's just like a jury trial. IH, there's no jury, but you never know how the judge ruled, especially if you have a marginal case. I lucked out because I've been doing this for like approaching 50 years. I have some really good lawyers in our law firm, and most of them know. And there is a table that you can even check. You don't need it as a lawyer. This is all public record now. Just Google your judge's name and see what's his asylum grant rate. Because some judges, the denial rate is like 96%. Judge Cassidy, who just died, who came from Atlanta, was promoted BIA, is a very old and good friend of mine. I actually write him notes and say, hey, Judge, you and I know each other when we were in our 20s. Now, both of us are in the 60s and 70s. Be nice, be nice. And he said, wow, I'm very nice. I just don't like to grant because you guys all lie. So, and he just passed away. And I still remember just a few months ago, I wrote him another note. Hey, Judge, you be nice. We're retiring. You need to be nice. You need to be nice. So we all are different. I would talk to a lawyer and see why do you want to terminate. I think that's because you cannot win. And you already have TPS. You don't really need to win because if you win, you get a green card. But what happens if you lose?
Thank you so much. And Miss Wong, there's a very famous TV presenter that he's already retired. He even got to interview Barack Obama. He interviewed George Bush father, Bill Clinton, George Bush the son. He's Chilean, and he's now 83. But he's not retiring. He's not quitting. And he says, "I will never retire because retiring is like hanging your soul." So
That's a beautiful line. Yes.
yeah, and I stick with that because I see you and you always say that it's like you will never retire, and we don't want you to retire ever because there's a lot of wisdom that you have and a lot of experience that you have accumulated through these 47 years that you have been working in the immigration field. So thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for keeping your strength and working for all the people that you have been helping for all of these years. Okay, next question is, hi, I am from India. I want to immigrate to the United States. My family are business owners. Is there a way that this person can
And
come?
that's a very good question. There is a lot of question. America is weird. It's more family reunifications. For example, your father is a green card citizen, then you could become a green card citizen. It just takes another 15 years. So it's more a family situation. Also, India and China are the two worst countries on job offers. Their 12-year line wait. Business people, you may want to start a business here and invest to 800,000 US dollars. The $800,000 is not as bad as you think, because most people invest in a business and then have a line of credit from the bank because it's a secured line. You can use secured line to do this business. As long as it's fully secure, you have a house, back it up and stuff. It's as long as a risk capital. So the 800 is not the problem, because you are a business person. The problem is even a EB-5, even an investment visa was taken 4 or 5 years. And that's why President Biden actually, about just a year ago, allowed EB-5 people to do adjustment of status. Vietnam now is a big EB-5 country. The problem is Vietnam is still open, so you can do adjustment of status. The problem with China and India, because like in 2 days the line's closed, so you cannot even do adjustments. So even if you file the 526, you have to leave and come back on your tourist visa or on your L1. L1 for Chinese and Indians are getting harder and harder, because, as you know, in the exchange rate in India and America is really, the rupees is, and American dollars is difficult. So this, if you really want to come to America and be safe here, my advice is always get yourself a Canadian passport or a Mexican passport, because those countries you can do on an E2. And the investment is only about 150,000. So once you immigrate to Canada or Mexico, get their passport, even a Grenada passport. I think Virgin Islands is one of those islands. They have e-visa status. Then you can come on an e-visa, but then you'll waste another 4 years in getting their citizenship and not being able to come to America. So most people normally come on a tourist visa, come on a student visa, and then what? No, but that's a very good question. For Indian people, it's very difficult to get green card. And being in business, you don't want to come here on a tourist visa and then became undocumented. You want that legal. Another question I have is, what kind of business are you? Because we represent a lot of jewelers from Gujarat, from India, and jewelers, of course, they because they have so much gold, generations of families have gold, and gold right now is going up. So when it comes to assets and net worth, they're very big, but really they're in their business, because of the jewelry business, they have a lot of net worth, but they're all in gold. So, which means that they don't want to start a business and hire 10 people there, because a jewelry repair business, or to buy gold and sell gold, the margin is so small, but the volume is huge. So it depends also what kind of business you are. Another thing is do an L1, but L1 business, yeah, uncle is owner of 3 hotels. Go to Canada, get an E2 visa. E2, you can do a hotel either in lease or it's a Patel E2. Yeah, so that's one way to do it. If not, do an investment visa. You need to hire, then buy like a warehouse, build a hotel. You need to hire business writers and economists to say you're creating 10 jobs for the 800,000, which is easier. The problem is, in the meantime, how do you stay in America to run that business? Because it takes about 4 or 5 years to get a EB-5 approved. The question is a parallel track. Uncle owns 3 hotels. I'm sure he'll give you the know-how to build at least 1 or 2 new hotels to do EB-5. The question is, how do I come to America and wait for the 5 years to get the green card, or 3 years?
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. Don't forget the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. This next question is, I am from Nigeria, transgender. If I go back to Africa, I might be executed. Would an asylum be an option for me?
Yes, but number one, and I feel bad for telling you that, I know you're going to think I'm a racist. The fact that you're from Nigeria is a high fraud country. Anytime you're from Nigeria, you're a transgender. I don't know if you did actually a sex change. Anytime any person who came from Nigeria, they all say they're gay, because in jail or somewhere, someone said, if you say you're gay, you get a green card, especially after a fall of DOMA. So if Nigeria is a hard country, and depends on when you came to America, when you find out you're transgender or gay. is transgender a sex change? I don't remember, but if you're that's a sex change, right? If you had done a sex change, that's better. So when did you do the sex change? Can I look at you? And it has to be visibly you can see it. It cannot just be, oh, I don't dress like a girl. And I know I sound such a racist person, but it's not. So it depends on when did you take the drugs, when did you do your sexual change. I also have a lot of American citizens going to Mexico to do that trans because it's cheaper down there and come back up. So it depends on when you did it, how you did it, were you ever abused when you were doing it? Did you do it in Nigeria? Then why didn't they kill you at that time? How did you meet your other friends? So it's a lot. I have a lot of questions. We do a lot of gay and transgender people. So if you want to call me and give me your story, you don't have to call me. Just write me your story. When did you come to America? How old are you? Who's your father? Who's your mother? Were you ever abused? How old were you when you find out you want to be a transgender? How old were you when you prefer the other sex? Or I haven't done a sex change. Yeah, look feminine. Yeah. So, right. Nigerians is a problem. It says 2 or 3 countries. I don't want to name because switching is too expensive. Yeah. So we have to prove out that. It depends on you if you're 1 year, if you came to America before 1 year. But being gay is a problem from Nigeria. And I know, I mean, already is a problem. So people don't, and also from Saudi is really bad. It's really bad. I mean, you can win those cases. Even from Nigeria, you can win them, but promise, how do I make them believe you?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this question, for this answer. We have another question, and it's coming our way. Hello, Attorney Wong. I overstayed my visa for over a year. Is it advisable to file for affirmative asylum? I am from Ghana. Thank you.
Okay, there's 2 answers to that, and that's why asylum docket, there are 3 million cases that immigration is so behind. Because I've been practicing for so long, and I myself came in 1969. So in our years, until in 04, 05, most people don't apply for asylum because in those days, most people get their green card through employment base and then 245I and hopefully 245I. That was all before 911. Once after 911, America had no change. So even in the olden days, even if you have stayed, you have overstayed your tourist visa, I presume it's a tourist visa, we could always argue I was traumatized. I had actually had quite a few cases where the teenagers were addicted with their games or addicted with opioid, and I overcame it and I won those cases. Now, especially under Obama, it started to change. That's why when people say Obama is good, he's very gentle in his deportation, but he deported actually more people than Trump. So starting actually from Obama or even little Bush, once your visa is overstayed, I mean, it's so difficult to do an extension once you are even 2 minutes overstay. So, and you're from Ghana, depends on the story, depends on were you traumatized, why did you overcome the 1 year? You have to remember 1 year starts from the day of entry, not from the day your visa expired, like in the older days you get around it. But you can still argue extraordinary circumstances if you're only few days outside of the 6 months if you have tourist visa or your student visa. Your student visa never overstay. It's a DS status, a duration of status. So it depends on the story. If you have, that's why being gay helps. The first thing I ask people, are you from the same sex or opposite sex? Because Ghana, that's another country where a lot of people say they're gay. Yes, it's a good story, but you have to have a good story and have to have an idea why you overcome. If not, you can still do withholding. And CAT is a convention against torture. So there's a lot of ways. So I don't want just to be like a stupid lawyer and say, oh yeah, you can do asylum. Anything over 1 year, you can do asylum, which you could, but then the question is, can you win? But the question is, what's your goal? Do you want to stay here with a work permit for 2 or 3 years and leave and never come back? Then asylum doesn't hurt. But if you really want to stay, you have to look at your story. I would not make a life determination just on a question from a lawyer.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Our time is up for today. It was really fast. But thank you so much because we had an amazing show and very interesting questions that have been coming through our live show today. So I'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, Mr. Marcellus.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And don't forget that the attorney Margaret W. Wong has offices in 7 cities of the United States: Atlanta, Chicago, Columbus, Cleveland, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is 216-279-3984. And that's the phone number that you can reach out to the office and talk to the attorney Margaret W. Wong. Set your appointment at the city that she will be in the next few days, and you will be very well attended in the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and see you next time.
Thank you.